Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the freedom you struggle to defend every moment is merely a sophisticated illusion. Modern society doesn't bind you with chains, it ensnares you with comfort. You're not crushed by force, but seduced by pleasure. The greatest threat to your autonomy isn't a tyrant with weapons, but a system that keeps you just content enough to never question your captivity. Aldous Huxley foresaw this long before surveillance capitalism, social media addiction, or the dopamine-driven economy. He grasped what many still deny. Humanity's gravest danger isn't overt tyranny, but voluntary enslavement disguised as convenience. His haunting question remains: how much of your life is truly your own? Reflect honestly. How many of your desires are genuinely yours, and how many were subtly implanted by unseen forces? How many beliefs did you choose, and how many did you inherit unquestioned? How much of your daily behavior stems from deliberate intention, and how much is just an automatic reaction to external cues? Huxley argued that most people live in a state of sleepwalking, not from lack of intelligence, but from lack of awareness. He warned that the future wouldn't enslave humanity through violence, but through endless distraction, entertainment, and shallow pleasures that dull the soul. Today, we enter the mind of one of the 20th century's most unsettling visionaries, a man whose predictions about our world feel eerily accurate. He understood that true control doesn't require cruelty, comfort suffices. He dared to pose the question most avoid: what if the dystopia you dread is already here? If you're drawn to profound philosophical inquiry, psychological insight, and the courage to face reality as it is, not as you wish it to be, then stay with this exploration. These ideas aren't mere intellectual games. They are mirrors, and mirrors don't lie. In 1932, Huxley published Brave New World, a novel that has haunted generations. It wasn't mere fiction, it was prophecy. A warning. A blueprint for a society where people come to love their servitude, idolize their distractions, and celebrate their own confinement. What many overlook is that Huxley wasn't describing some distant fantasy. He was describing us. In his world, control wasn't enforced through fear, but through engineered happiness. Citizens were conditioned from birth to crave exactly what the system required. Pain was eradicated, conflict suppressed, individuality erased. In their place stood a synthetic paradise of contentment, yet no one was truly alive. Huxley recognized what authoritarian regimes often miss: the most powerful control is internal, not external. Make people believe they're free, and they'll defend their chains. Eliminate the need for suffering, and they'll surrender depth. Flood them with distractions, and they'll abandon the search for meaning. Look around. How many people do you know are truly awake, living with intention, clarity, and self-awareness? How many pause to question why they want what they want, fear what they fear, or believe what they believe? Most drift on autopilot, scrolling, consuming, reacting, chasing dopamine hits mistaken for purpose. They confuse busyness with meaning, comfort with fulfillment, never realizing they're enacting a script written by invisible hands. Huxley called this the tragedy of modern life: not suffering itself, but suffering without awareness; not control, but willing submission; not unfreedom, but mistaking the cage for home. He argued societies no longer need to ban books to stifle thought. They simply overwhelm us with trivia until truth vanishes. They don't silence dissent. They make people too distracted to care. They don't imprison bodies. They imprison minds. And the mind is imprisoned above all by its inability to see reality clearly. This leads to one of Huxley's most radical ideas: consciousness functions like a reducing valve. Drawing from philosophers like Henry Bergson and William James, he proposed that the brain doesn't reveal the full spectrum of reality. It filters an overwhelming flood of sensory, emotional, and potential insight down to a narrow, survival-oriented stream. Your everyday experience isn't the whole picture. It's an edited summary, a functional approximation. Fears may be distortions from faulty filters. Beliefs may be unexamined biases. Your sense of self may be a constructed narrative shaped by selective memory and cultural conditioning. Your reality might be shadow, not substance. This valve is essential for survival, but disastrous for awakening. It keeps you alive yet asleep, functional yet blind. Modern society tightens it further, from childhood education that teaches what to notice and ignore, to rigid categories that shrink perception, to endless noise that contracts awareness. Yet Huxley offered hope. The valve can be opened. Consciousness can expand. Humans can perceive reality with far greater depth and clarity than we imagine. But this requires courage, the willingness to question everything we assume we know. So ask yourself, how much of what you call reality is truly real, and how much is interpretation, projection, or inherited programming? Are you ready to find out? Awakening is irreversible. It demands active, unflinching observation of your own mind. Huxley didn't just theorize, he pursued expanded consciousness. In 1953, he took mescaline and documented the experience in the doors of perception. What he encountered wasn't recreational escape, but a profound shift. Colors intensified, objects radiated meaning, the mundane turned sacred, self and world blurred. For a few hours he glimpsed unfiltered reality, the mind at large beyond ordinary limits. He didn't claim psychedelics revealed ultimate truth, only possibility. Perception is limited, consciousness fluid, everyday reality just one narrow view among many. Why then do we remain trapped in contracted awareness? Because society depends on it. Expanded minds question authority, reject shallow pursuits, see through manipulation. They become ungovernable. Cultures maintain narrow consciousness through conformity-rewarding education, productivity-driven economies, depthless entertainment, and norms that punish introspection. The aim isn't suffering, it's functionality. Awake enough to work and consume, but not enough to rebel or transcend. Most never notice. Modern life trains us to fear stillness, avoid inner depths, flee discomfort. Yet in stillness, truths surface. In discomfort, growth begins. Huxley's exploration wasn't escapism. It was confrontation with perception's limits. You don't need substances to begin. Awareness, attention, and contemplative practice, meditation, reflection, presence, can widen the valve. Observe thoughts without domination, feel emotions without definition, sit with discomfort without numbing it. When was the last time you truly saw something, as if for the first time? Listened without planning a reply? Felt an emotion fully, without judgment? If these feel rare, your consciousness is contracted. But awakening is accessible to anyone willing to question the habitual and confront the avoided. Huxley's insights align with ancient traditions, Buddhism, Vedanta, mysticism, all pointing to liberation as a perceptual shift, removing illusions to uncover what's already there. He spent his life warning against the seduction of comfort. Suffering can awaken, comfort numbs. Technology, once liberating, became controlling. Entertainment became distraction. Convenience became captivity. The dystopia isn't forced, it's chosen. People build their cages and call them homes. How much of your life follows genuine desire versus algorithmic nudges? How many hours vanish into screens promising connection, but delivering isolation? Society keeps us busy, entertained, just comfortable enough to never ask what we're living for. Huxley called it the tyranny of triviality, not lack of information but overload, not suppressed speech but amplified noise, not banned thought but exhausted thinking. The tragedy isn't ignorance, many sense it. It's inaction. Change requires discomfort. Awakening demands surrendering comforts that numb us. Are you living or being lived? Pursuing meaning or chasing dopamine? Awake or sleepwalking through a life that looks free but feels empty? Comfort costs consciousness. Ease sacrifices depth. Avoidance blocks growth. The way out is through, facing discomfort, uncertainty, and ignored truths. Growth lies at discomfort's edge. Clarity emerges from confusion. Freedom isn't escaping constraints, it's transcending them consciously. You stand at a crossroads daily, comfort and unconsciousness, the easy path, or effort and awakening, the transformative one. Every choice either opens or closes the valve. Huxley's final message wasn't despair, but radical hope. Awakening is possible. Consciousness expands. Freedom exists, but must be claimed moment by moment. The greatest journey is inward, toward awareness, not achievement. You are not your thoughts, beliefs, fears, or desires. Those are patterns and narratives. You are the awareness observing them, the presence behind experience. When this is seen experientially, fear loosens, ego softens, urgency dissolves. What remains is fullness, clarity, compassion. Awakening isn't retreat, it's deeper engagement. Relationships deepen without projection. Work gains meaning beyond compulsion. Decisions arise from awareness, not reaction. Life becomes yours. It also reveals others' suffering as unconsciousness, not malice. You can't force awakening in them, only embody it, inviting through presence. The world changes when individuals do. Systems transform when consciousness does. It begins with you. Are you willing to look at thoughts without defense, emotions without suppression, life without justification, reality without comforting filters? Freedom lives in that clarity. Huxley reminded us, experience isn't what happens to you, it's what you do with it. Meet challenges with curiosity, not reactivity, expansion, not contraction. Your life grows in proportion to your willingness to perceive clearly. Stop running from discomfort and find resilience. Release identity and discover freedom. Stop resisting life and realize you are life. This isn't the end, it's the beginning. Awakening is a daily practice. See clearly, act consciously, choose expansion over contraction. Huxley devoted himself to the pursuit, not because he was special, but because he was willing. Willing to look. Willing to question. Willing to face uncomfortable truths. The comfortable dystopia he warned of is here, voluntary servitude, seductive distraction. But so is the possibility of awakening. It waits in you now. Will you remain comfortably numb? Or awaken to the depth, beauty, and complexity of your consciousness? The choice is yours. Always has been. What are your thoughts? Does this resonate? Which part struck you most? Share below. If it shifted your perspective, consider subscribing, turning on notifications, and sharing it. The journey continues. See you in the next one.